Welcome back to Republican Stronghold. Today our guest is the 2026 candidate for Texas House Representative District 17, Tom Glass. Thanks, Tom, for taking time out of your schedule to come meet with us. I appreciate you sitting down with me and sharing your platform. I'd like to ask you, just tell us a little bit about yourself and why did you choose to run for this particular position?
Thank you very much. The first thing I want to talk about is my why. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I want my granddaughter and her generation to grow up in a free country and have the opportunities that my generation has had. And that's the main reason. And of course, there's also all sorts of forces trying to make sure that's not going to happen, whether it's globalist or woke Marxist or Islamicist. There's all sorts of people trying to get hold of our children and make sure that they're not free. And I think the Texas House is one of the many places we need strong leadership to stop that and to expand on the freedoms that this generation needs to have.
Okay, thank you. Can you explain to our audience what your specific office does at, I mean, it's not an office per se, but what you do as that House representative?
Right. All right. Yeah. Texas House and the Texas Senate are two parts of the Texas legislature, and what the legislature's primary responsibility is to set the budgets and the taxation policy for the state and to create the laws for the state.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I think a lot of our audience doesn't realize exactly what each side of the House does. So, so what things are you considering changing if you're elected? What's your
the biggest
big
thing
agenda?
for me? The biggest thing for me that I think is needed is the fact that we've had a culture in the Texas House that is dominated by special interest, what I call the cronies or the swamp, and they're beholden to the Democrats. Even though we have a Republican majority, we are beholden to Democrats. The reason I first decided to run is my wife asked me the question, Tom, what is it going to take to change the culture of the Texas House so it's beholden to the voters of the district and to the principles, priorities, and platform of the Republican Party, instead of being beholden to the cronies, the swamp, and the Democrats. And so I started thinking about that. I've been going to the legislature for the last 6 sessions and trying to play in the game, which is, by the way, for conservatives, is a very toxic environment. You could call this the uniparty if you wanted to call it that way, right? It's the power men who are there primarily for their own power, and they are installed by the people who want to control. There is an eternal war between the special interest and the grassroots for control of the Texas legislature. And for as long as I've been going there, the establishment has prevailed.
I know there's been a lot of money infused into the state of Texas to turn it blue.
Right. Well, there's outside money coming in doing that. There's also, and by the way, I've worked to have legislation introduced, and I've testified for legislation that would limit how much outside money can come outside of Texas into Texas. I'd love to see a ban. We don't allow Chinese to contribute to our U.S. House and U.S. Senate or presidential races. I don't know why we would allow New Yorkers to contribute to our district attorney races here, or our state rep or our gubernatorial race. But the real problem with money, in my opinion, is we got that problem. But the bigger problem, I think, is the special interest trying to put all their money into the primaries to control, to make sure their puppets, their installed guys, do their will during the Texas legislature. And we've also had this problem is that conservatives are, by the way, the grassroots is on the ascendancy. Okay, in this long war, we're doing a war of attrition on the establishment guys. Okay, we're going increasing the number of conservatives all the time, and the establishment Republicans are hanging on by a thread. This last time we had 26 new Republican freshmen out of 88 total Republicans, right?
That's quite a few.
And 22 of those were conservatives. 4 were pretty much bought and paid for from the time they got there. Okay, and we had the most unusual, the biggest knockdown, drag out, and probably a historic speaker election this last time around, where the Republicans were finally thinking, well, we've got the conservatives, we've got enough number where we can break the back of this uniparty establishment cabal. And so we had a real contest, and we were going to try to do it in the speaker's race. We were going to try to choose it, and then the rules of the Republican caucus in the Texas House say, if you get the proper supermajority, then you're obligated to go onto the floor and vote for the Republican pick. Okay, we did that, and 26 representatives walked out of the caucus because their uniparty guy was not winning. Okay.
Very
One of those is the man I'm running against in this race. Okay. And then they marched over and had a press conference and said, we're doing it with the Democrats. We're going to team up with the Democrats for our own personal power. And I consider that to be a betrayal of their fellow Republican legislatures. It was a betrayal of the Republican Party, and it was a betrayal of us, the voters.
Well, and when questioning them about that, what was their response?
They had their talking points, and every one of them used the same talking points, including my guy.
Which was?
The big one was, well, our guy's more conservative than the other guy, which, by the way, was by independent analyses. For instance, Mark Jones of the Rice University puts out a ranking of conservative to liberal every year, and David Cook, the one that the Republicans chose in caucus by the proper supermajorities, even though these guys tried to delegitimize the process by walking out, were not able to do so. Although they kept on talking like it was illegitimate because they had walked out and made it so. I forgot where I was going. But yeah, so anyway, what they said was, they said that their guy was more conservative, but Dustin Burrows was 7th from the bottom in Mark Jones rankings, and David Cook was in the middle of the pack, right? So David Cook was a better representative of the entire Republican delegation than was Dustin Bonham. I say Bonham. Bonham was a previous speaker that I also went up against. Dustin Burrows. So that's the lay of the land. And so I'm one of many people around the state challenging what I call the betrayers to try to take out as many of those guys in the primary as possible so that we have more conservatives. We've got a number of the establishment guys have said they're not running again this time, so there's going to be some open seats. And a number of the good conservative guys have decided to move on for whatever reason. So we're going to have some open seats there as well. And so we're going to have to make sure, again, every one of those primaries will be grassroots versus establishment type person. And I consider myself not to be a band of brothers and sisters of grassroots people who are trying to storm the beaches and get off the beaches. I mean, last time away, I thought of it. We stormed the beaches of Omaha, and a whole bunch of them made it. I didn't, but I'm hoping that we can finish the job and get off the beach and start moving forward with this cycle. And so that's kind of I will be talking about that a lot in my campaign. Whenever you run for office, you've got to look at what's the differentiators. Number one, Republican primary voters, there are many people who show up and don't understand that this is a choice between people in the Republican Party to do
correct.
This.
Yeah, they don't know.
And they haven't done their homework to know enough about the or more choices that they have to determine which one is most aligned with their values. We know that Republican primary voters are conservative because when you put issues in front of them that the SREC does on the Republican primary ballots, overwhelmingly 70, 80, 90% are voting for the conservative choices on those ballots. And so, but where the disconnect is a lot of people show up not knowing who's on their side on those issues and who's not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the challenge of every grassroots campaign, is just to get the word out to people who are living very busy lives, have children and jobs, and their news sources, if they're going to focus on politics, are telling them about national stuff and not what's going on in Austin. And so getting the word out is the biggest challenge for a grassroots campaign like mine.
Yeah, understandable. So share with our audience why you're the best candidate.
Okay. Well, number one, I think I'm more committed to the principles, priorities, and platform of the Republican Party and to conservative values than my opponent is. And we know that partly because of his voting record, which is always in the back of the pack. For the last 2 cycles, has been in the back of the pack of the Republicans by any measure, or any group that's doing a measurement and ranking of them. He's in the back of the pack. There was the last time, I forget the name of the group I decide with, or something like that, who's independent conservatives, grassroots conservatives, and they go out and do great search of everything that the people have done in the past and what they've said and what they've been active in. And they concluded that Stan was a moderate and that I'm a conservative. So we got that. I have more legislative experience than a 2-term incumbent, Stan, because I've been going to the legislature for the last 6 sessions on a full-time basis on my own dime since I retired from Exxon. Okay, and I've been working on the priorities of the Republican Party of Texas and on pushing back on the feds and globalists when they try to mess with Texas. So those are the big things I've focused on. So I've got more legislative experience. I'm better educated. I have a law degree and a license, although I've never practiced law. I went late in life. My wife persuaded me to go late in life. I went night school at U of H. And I tried to use that as a public policy postgraduate finishing school, where I studied the Constitution and I studied legislation and how judges make decisions when the law is not clear on how it should apply to a person's set of facts, which helped me. I have crafted legislation over these last 6 cycles, and so I know how to craft legislation, and I know the intricacies of how the judicial system interacts with law after it's passed. I also have a master in business administration from Harvard Business School, whereas my opponent has an undergrad degree in government from UT. I have a chemical engineering degree from Texas A&M. That's education. And then there's the fact that his entire career, number one, I have more life experience than him. I am almost 30 years older than he is. Okay, he has he's been a career politician. I am a guy that worked in business all of my life until I retired, and then I paid attention to politics, and I actually went to the Texas legislature a few times with burning vacation to do stuff, but I really didn't do politics at a high level until I retired, and so I've had a career in politics. I mean, a career in business. I don't need a career in politics. I'm not a career politician, so that's another differentiator between me and my opponent.
For sure.
So those are some.
Great. So can you please close with what you want voters to remember about you when they go in to mark their ballot?
Yeah. Tom Glass is the guy who will represent you to Austin and not the Austin swamp to you. One of the things I'm doing with this campaign is trying to go out and meet, just like I have in the past, but I'm trying to do even a better job of meeting every voter I can at their door, because I figure knowing the people in the district allows you to better represent them. Do I share do I have values that I'm going to try to take and policy positions I'm going to try to take the legislature and see passed? Yes. I put those issues on my campaign literature and all that. But I think the voters should know that my mission is to represent them and to save our posterity from a totalitarian state, which is trying to come at us, and to give more freedom to you. And so I'm hoping you'll see that I'm the guy that is better qualified, better educated, and more committed to implementing your vision of what should happen at the Texas legislature.
Sounds good. Great. Thanks, Tom, for being our guest.
You bet.
I appreciate you, sir, and we wish you many blessings.
Well, thank you.
And good luck during this campaign.